First hour we'll have most of this in there. So we didn't cover too much that wasn't down here. Now, most everybody got this thing to graph, yes? One of the things that when we look at here, do you see plot 1, plot 2, plot 3? Yes? One of the things these plots, I would just watch this because if we deal with it, I will show you this here later. Stat, these L1, L2, these values here. So if we have set points, so if we're looking at data, number of, let's see here, so 40, 50, 60, we are taking people's ages and their overall height. And we're kind of wanting to see how it compares, age-based height, or two sets of numbers. We can use this calculator to give us a line of best fit or an equation that would best model the data. And we would use this along with these stat plots to plug it into Graphic. So if one of these for some reason is turned on and it's not letting you graph, go and check and see if they're turned on, because that might be causing some issues. So that's what those are. We're not going to use them too much. If we do, I will go over that in more detail when we hit it. It's not a huge deal. Now, this is one way we can see a graph. Well, another way is within XY table, yes? It will do this. To get to the XY table, we're going to go second graph. And there's the graph of it for the tables, XY coordinate tables. Not too bad. So if we want to look for a specific value, so we want to find out what the value of this function is when x is 6. It's 10. When x is 6, y is 10. And we can look that up there. Now, another nice one is if we go second trace, the button next to graph, where it says calculate above it. Yes? So go second trace. And you get this list here, yes? So we can use 0 to find out where it's 0, and I will go more in specifics about that when we start talking about higher degree polynomial functions and using that, because it's not going to make sense at this point. The main one that does is if you hit enter on value, you should get the graph again in x equals and a little cursor, yes? And hit enter on value. So it might be helpful to have the function.
Well, see, I was trying to type it in, but I didn't know how to type the bars in.
Math over enter. Was it -3 plus 1? And now we can. Yep. So do we all have it where it has x equals on the bottom? Hey, Jody, give me a value. Doesn't matter what it is.
What?
Give me a value for x. This number.
3.
3. Type 3 in. So x equals 3. Yes? Once you get that, hit enter. So what's the value of y when x is 3? 1. So second trace, enter. Math over enter, x minus 3. There you go. So did y'all get that the value of y is 1? Yes? So we can use this to find values. But the graphing feature is really what's nice, and we can use that to graph function and see what they look like. And we'll use that especially once we start dealing with quadratics. Second quit. Second mode. Second quit will take you back to the home screen. That's where you can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, anything you want. Now, one of the next things that I'm going to show you is storing a number. Because in Algebra 1, 2x squared minus 7x plus 4. You had something like this here, and they told you, what does this equal when x is 2? Yes? Then you had to go through the entire function and plug in 2 for the value of x. Yes? So one thing we can do is I want you to type 2 stow x. 2 STO, that's stow, it's right above the on button, x. And the x is up there next to alpha. So do we have this here? Go on and hit enter. And it should just say 2 out to the side, yes? Watch this, because so when I hit x, from now on, it's going to tell me that the value of x is 2. Because it doesn't see it as a variable, it sees it as a number. And we set it to 2, so it sees it as 2. Now, the nice thing with this is that now I can go 2x squared minus 7x plus 4. Is that up there? So this equation here, yes? So I just typed it in. And if I hit enter, it'll tell me that it is negative 2. So what that lets me do is it lets me store a value in for x, whatever it is, and it'll input it in there for me. Questions on this here? Get a different number? Instead of 7 squared, we'll do x plus 4. Because instead of the x, try it now. Yeah, and that's it. Now, say I didn't want to know what the value of this was when x was 2. Let's say we wanted to know what the value is for when x is negative 2. So all I have to do is change it. So to change the value of x, I would type negative 2, not 0.2, negative 2 stow x, and hit enter. Because now it's changed it. Now it's saying the value of x is negative 2, not positive 2. And at this point here, I can go through, do 2x squared minus 7x plus 4. I'm going to retype it back in. Or, if I go up and highlight it and hit enter, it brings it back down. Now, we've redefined the value of x at this point, because now we're saying it's negative 2, not positive 2, correct? So even though I didn't change that equation, I changed the value of x, it will put that new value in. So I can reuse that again and again, okay? You remember us using RREF last week for our systems of equations? Using this here to find the solution. I could do what I just did. So I could plug matrix A into RREF of A and get the answer. Go in, change matrix A to the new one. After I finish plugging it in, scroll up, pull this back down, what I just did with the equation, hit enter, and it'll give me the new one. So once you type this in, RREF once, you can keep recalling it as many times as you need for each and every single one. Questions on this here? A little bit once I get this done. So, questions on this here? We kind of like this feature, being able to plug something in. It'll be helpful in the future. So, we have that there. Now, there's one last thing I'm going to cover, and that's matrices, because we did matrices yesterday, didn't we? So, I'm just going to pick 2 matrices. It doesn't matter what they are. Second matrix. Go over. So I've defined one of them to be this here. 25, 15. -3, 10, -14. Four, 0, -1. And I've defined that to be A. -25, -3, 8. Oh, 5, 9. So this is A and B, and I just had them plugged in. I've had these plugged in earlier, so you don't have to type them in if you don't want to. So these are our matrices, and you guys know at this point you've done plugging matrices in, yes? Editing them. Now the homework assignment, or the problem I'm wanting to solve, says I have matrix A is multiplied by 3, so I have 3 second matrix A, 3 times matrix A, minus 2 times matrix B. And I can just type it in using matrix A and B and tell it I want to solve that. And it'll give me the answer. It will add 2 matrices together. It'll subtract them, it'll multiply, and it'll divide. And it'll do it however you want. You can multiply these by a scalar. So if I wanted to multiply this by a scalar, I can say alpha y equals, let's do 3/2 times the second matrix A, and I call it up. Now tell me what 3/2 times matrix A is. So these calculators will do the matrices. I can add them, subtract them, scalars, multiply by scalars, addition, subtraction. They'll even do multiplication. We haven't covered multiplication, and we'll cover it probably at a later date. But it'll also multiply them together. So questions on any of this here? Nothing too far, too bad? So those are some of the kind of key things when I thought about using these calculators, were those there. And I think that covers most of it. Now, actually, one of the things I will say, has anybody seen this pop up at some point on that calculator? Yes? No, maybe? Let's see here. How can I get this to pop up? Okay, I know how. Something like this screen. It's popped up probably for some of you, yes? Does anybody know what that means? Put a space between O and T. Go to, yes? So if this error pops up, I would select go to, and it's going to put that cursor wherever the error is, okay? And what it's telling me is that there's something wrong with this here, because really what it's saying is -9. And for the calculators, if you're using subtraction, it's expecting something in front of it. It's wanting a number in front of 9. But it wants 9 minus something. Does that make sense? Now, this might not seem helpful at this point here, but if we're dealing with something that's a longer equation, where you're trying to do something like this here, and there's something wrong with it, there's so much, especially when we start plugging more and more stuff in, if something like that comes up, this will be helpful, that go to, because it'll take you straight to where it thinks the error is, or where the error is at, why it's not working right, and put the cursor over it, so you're not having to look through every single bit of this entire thing there in the calculator. Does that make sense? So it's a helpful feature to have, and it's helpful to use. Because quit won't tell you anything. It just won't do it. Does that make sense? All right. That's most all of what I have for y'all today. So y'all can use the rest of the time to work on the assignments that you have. Tomorrow we'll